Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We rented movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feeling bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Sent Us podcast. Hey,
What happened to you? Where are your parents? Your mother? Your father?
You didn't wake up.
Are you alone? Do you live up here all by yourself? What happened to your face? No, I won't hurt you. But at the very least, let me give you a good astringent, and this will help to prevent infection.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Sent Us podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about their favorite childhood flicks. I'm Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
And today we put up a poll, or yesterday we put up a poll. We put up a tool. A tool on Twitter. On Twitter. And asked people which movie we should do tonight. Either A, Labyrinth, or B, Edward Scissorhands. And Edward Scissorhands won by a pretty decent amount, I would say.
We're still going to do Labyrinth eventually. But yeah, I just had like epiphany moving wise. So the way we're kind of going to be doing the next like couple months is that we kind of alternate is, you know, Sweetie picks one, I picks one, because I don't think we've discussed this yet, but sometimes we get into like drag out fights about what movie to do, and like one person gets upset because they don't want to do it or don't feel in the mood to watch that.
You say how you see one person. It's just me.
Yes.
I get upset.
Hunter gets upset. So we decided to navigate around that by just being like, okay, like this is your day. You get to pick it no matter what, which has been really helpful because we're not fighting as much.
But you put up a toll.
But I couldn't decide.
I keep saying toll.
What is a toll? Like a toll?
No.
Weird.
I don't know. I had like a margarita and a half earlier. I cried. It was a weird night.
Weird night.
So who knows?
But yeah, so I just couldn't decide. So I just was like racking my brain. I'm like, what movies would be good? What movies that like definitely I love but haven't seen in a while? And those two just like popped into my head, but I literally could not decide. So that's what the poll was for.
Cool.
And overwhelmingly it was Edward Scissorhands. So thank you, people who did the poll.
Sure. Yep.
And I'm so glad we did this because I haven't seen this movie in forever.
Yeah, it's been a while for me as well.
Yeah.
Especially the whole way through. I feel like I've always come in like in the middle,
exactly,
the beginning, and then I'm like, I'm tired,
like,
and then
probably
I leave.
I've seen this movie all the way through like once, maybe or twice.
Totally,
the first time ever, and then it would be on TV, and you just see like the
Parts
middle
of it
or whatever. Yeah, so amazing. So Edward Scissorhands, directed by Tim Burton.
This is our third Tim Burton movie.
Oh my God, he might be in the lead for director, right?
For sure. Did you hear that burp? It was a good one. I burped in the mic. No big deal.
This movie is from 1990, guys. So it is 27 years old. Does that make you feel like ancient or what?
Yeah.
I mean, 90 was like, I mean, you were 4 years old. So it's like, but 90 doesn't, I don't know what it is about the 90s, but they like don't seem that far away to me.
I know.
And when you actually start doing the math, you're like, where the last like 10 years of my life go?
Yeah. And you get depressed, and then you cry at the Mexican restaurant down the street.
No.
And that's the end of that too.
That was just your day.
Yes. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah. So Edward Scissorhands, starring the one and only Johnny Depp, which I think this is his best role.
Totally.
To date.
I do too. It's so understated. What he's doing in this movie is so fascinating. It's just so understated, and he plays everything so softly, and so it's such a drastic change from what he's doing now.
Right.
I can't think of any other movie that has him like maybe What's Eating Gilbert Grapes and kind of like soft.
Yes. And that was around the same time, right?
And now it's just like always a weird character, always a weird accent, a weird thing. Yeah. This is just perfect.
Yeah. And so I read in the trivia that he has like 127 words he speaks or something total. And that guy, the way he acts with his eyes in this is like unbelievable. There was a scene kind of towards the end where he's just looking at Kim, and like I was getting like weird goosebumps because they were like both looking at each other in this weird way. BT Dubs, Johnny Depp, and Winona Ryder dated during this movie and then got engaged after. Wow. So they were actually like a real couple. So put that in your mind. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Wow. But his eye acting, like Tyra Banks would be very so powerful. Fucking proud.
Yeah, it's all in the eyes. It's all in the eyes. And a little bit his mouth. He has like this teeny thing. Yeah. This teeny thing in his mouth. He's like, I know. Good to say your mouth. Awesome. Tiny mouth. My name's Johnny Depp.
So also 80s darling, Winona Ryder, who we have covered before in Beetlejuice. She's a little older in this one, a little bit wiser. She goes on to do so many more movies right around this time, right? This was her like total wheelhouse time, kind of 90s, early 90s, basically. Was like
late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, was like her jam. Who else? Alan Arkin, not Alan Alda. Don't mistake the two. Confusing. And Diane Wiest, who is so great. Oh so good. She's so good in this. That woman is like...
Talk about sweetie.
Talk about Sweeties Club.
Total sweetie club.
God, she would like... She's an instant member.
Instant member, you guys.
So good.
Forget it. And the little brother from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Which we did not know
until tonight.
And when was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Do you remember? Because
I don't know why you asked me. When you write down the date every time we do a movie.
He grew like a weed, though, because he seems so much older.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think that was 87, maybe?
Huh. Interesting. But yeah, I had no idea that was him. I guess our knowledge of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids wasn't as good when we originally saw this or something. I don't know. I just don't know. And Vincent Price. This was actually his last movie performance. He was in a few TV shows, mostly voice acting, up until he died about 3 years later. I want to say he died in 93, I think. But he's very old in this. He plays the inventor. And yeah, that's it, I think.
His last scene was his dying scene in this one. So the last scene he ever played was a death scene. I know. That's like kind of fucking sad. When the hell did we do Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, huh? Oh, here it is, 89.
Wow.
Okay, that was like a year or two later. Whoa. That's weird, because he looks so much older in this. But yeah.
That's what happens with boys, you know? They're just like, one day they're like, I'm tiny boy, I'm little. And then done.
Like, there's just
giants.
It's like two different people between the ages of 12 and like 14. You're like, who are you? Yeah. Anyway, so this is such a good plot. I can't wait to sum it up in our sweetie synopsis. Yeah.
Sweeties. Peg Boggs is an Avon saleswoman. She tries to peddle her makeup, her goods, on her friends, her neighbors, the children of her neighbors who have no money, and the religious freaks. It's not a good day for sales, though. She's not making a lot of sales. She's having kind of one of those days.
Just one of those days
where she doesn't sell any makeup. So, in her rearview mirror, she sees this terrifying black castle on the hill and is like, I think they would like to buy some Avon makeup. So, she drives her little car on up there, goes inside, knocks on the door, is like, they ain't coming, goes on in. The place is crawling with dust, people. The place hasn't been cleaned in probably 30 years.
No timeline. Who knows?
We don't know.
Who knows?
She's like, hello? It's me, your Avon sales lady. So funny, so sweet. She goes to the attic, finds Edward. She's like, oh, it's just me. And then he comes towards her, and he has these gigantic scissors / hedge clip. I would really call them more hedge clippers. I wouldn't refer to them as scissors.
Because they're so long.
Right.
And they're kind of different sizes in terms of like how your fingers are different sizes a little bit, but they're the longest scissors I've ever seen.
Okay, that makes sense, and that answers one of my questions I had later. The question was, how does he have so much control over his scissors when he's cutting the hair? Because he must have some little ones in there. Okay.
Like little pinky ones. Like they're just different size scissors.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So she sees him. He's got like scars on his face, obviously because his hands are made of giant scissors.
He's very pasty.
Knives. He's very pasty.
And he has a strange
He's
outfit
wearing
on.
a gothic bondage outfit with like, it's like black vinyl hooks. His hair is crazy. He looks like a gothic kid in general.
Or like, well, not like medieval, but I don't know.
No,
Like
he's just
gothic.
plain straight up goth. She's like, oh my gosh. So she decides to just take him home with her. They seamlessly incorporate him into their family. There's no introduction.
Well, it's funny because I feel like
for us.
Peg, there's always like there's like one person in your life I feel like who is the Peg person who is like, okay, I'm gonna like take this like wounded animal home in a box that I like find on the side of the road, or like I'm gonna like help this homeless person out, whatever. There's always like those people who are just like would bring strangers home or not even think anything of it, you know.
Definitely mothering.
Yeah.
She saw him up there all alone. She just needed to make a sale. She was feeling down. She's like, oh my God, this person is feeling more down than I am, obviously, because they're all alone up in here in this creepy ass house. But yeah, so she has brought him to her family, which consists of her husband, Bill, played by Alan Arkin, the son, Kevin, and then the daughter who's away on a camping trip named Kim. But he sees her picture. Edward sees her picture and is smitten.
Instantly.
Smitten kitten right away. So he's with them a while. Meanwhile, the neighborhood of women have kind of come and formed this giant kind of gossip circle.
Right.
So everything that happens, they talk about it. They're instantly intrigued by Edward, as is everybody, I think, who meets him.
Right.
So they try to figure out who he is, what's he doing. They go over for like a big cookout party thing.
And
they all meet him. They think he's the greatest.
He's the greatest because they live in like one of those housing developments, which are super common for like California, Florida. We don't really have a ton here in Massachusetts, but like some states, it's just like, that's like all there is if you've ever been there. So obviously they have like nothing fucking going on there. It's so boring. Like you don't even see a lot of the husbands. Like it's really just this like crazy
they're always
gossip.
at work.
Right. Okay. They're working. The women don't work.
There's these great scenes of the every morning, like, all the cars leave at the same time, and then at night all the cars are coming home at the same time. It's very creepy, actually. It's very Stepford Wives.
Yes.
But yeah, it's so they're all housewives, bored.
So they're bored. They have nothing to do, and they think Edward is like the coolest thing and just want to get to know him and be closer to him. And then it starts being known that like Edward with these scissor hands has all these crazy talents. So it's just like one thing after the other, and I started to write them down. So this is what you can do if you have hands for scissors. Like you think, oh, that's like a huge handicap.
I think you
Is
can
it?
also be talented though. You can't just have scissors and be, great at things. So
Right. So first he really starts with the shrub cutting, let's say. So topiaries. So there's like these they just have hedges all over this neighborhood. And he starts making these really crazy sculptures like you would see in like Versailles or like French palaces. They see that kind of stuff. At one point, he's like a grill master. He's like shish kebabs, like on his like scissors. Moves on to a dog groomer. Grooms this lady's dog like spontaneously. He's like, and then all of a sudden, everyone in the neighborhood wants their dogs groomed. Then this woman's like, "Can you cut like people's hair?" Turns into a hairdresser. Then he becomes an ice sculptor. And then also dabbles in games of rock, paper, scissors, which he always wins because guess what? He has scissor hands. And paper snowflake maker is the other one I noted.
And paper doll maker.
Paper doll maker.
Yeah,
it was dolls. Sorry, not snowflakes. But I mean, that guy is like jack of all trades.
Oh, and you said ice sculpture. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the last one.
Yep.
And
he's nice.
Right. And he's like such a sweet guy. So, anyway, so he's like so that's why people like start to know him and trust him, and he starts making all these friends in the neighborhood. Meanwhile, Kim comes back from her camping trip, which was like really long. Where was she?
No,
Why was she
I think
gone
it was
for
a
so
weekend.
long?
It was supposed to be
just
the
a
weekend,
Okay.
and then it like rained on Saturday or something.
So he's sleeping in her room, which is this water bed, and she comes home early, so doesn't like the parents don't get to tell her, and sees this creepy guy in her bed. He like pops the water bed. There's water everywhere. She freaks out and really is initially like is the only one in the family who's like, this guy is fucking weird, because everyone else in the family, the little brother, the mom, the dad, were like, hey, like 2 seconds later,
Totally
Ed,
cool.
hey, like, no, I mean, that's the kind of cool thing about it, is that the guy looks potentially like a total freak, but they're just like, hey, one in the family, like, you're one of us, like, so sweet. But she just is like, can't like warm up to him. Meanwhile, like, Edward loves her, huge crush on her. Kim has this scary, we didn't mention him either, gross boyfriend played by Anthony Michael Hall, who also, talk about a growth spurt. What the fuck happened to him?
Yeah, when was the Breakfast Club?
86?
Maybe 7?
Oh my
I don't know.
God. So 4 years later, that guy was doing some roids or something. Like,
I was gonna say, he's doing
happened to
something.
him?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because he was always, his thing was like being a loser. That's what he like made, it cashed his paycheck on.
This was his chance to get out, and
Which is great.
now everybody hates him.
Yes. So I said, he is like the Johnny Zababka of like the 90s for me. Like this one role, I'm like, oh,
really.
And then do you remember he played? I don't know if you saw that. Like, they did like a Bill Gates, Steve Jobs movie. Like,
Yes.
like
Recently?
midnight. No, this was like mid or late 90s.
Wow.
Forget who played Steve Jobs, but he
Wait,
was
who did he play?
Bill Gates.
What?
Yeah. And they had this like, it was just like this crazy movie. And again, he was just kind of an asshole on that. And you're like, damn it, Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah. Took a
But-
turn for the worst.
Yeah. Anyway, so evil boyfriend. He's an evil boyfriend, and Kim's kind of like about him.
I think so. I think she never really. I
never
think it was
really
just one of
liked
those
him.
high school relationships. You're just like, it's your first one. You're stuck in it. And
Well, that prom picture said it all.
yeah,
That was
really
so
did.
weird.
It really did.
I was like, why does she
She
hates
she
that
wasn't
guy?
happy about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Go on.
okay, so he's got all his talents. Soon the slutty neighbor woman's like, I'm gonna help you open your own salon. So she goes. She tries to seduce him, which does not work because, well, I don't think Edward has a penis.
Right.
That's another one of my questions, but I just don't think he does. He's very confused about it and like tells his family at dinner, and they're like, "What?" Right. Except for Alan Arkin, who's like, "Very good," like not listening. I'll talk about him later, but he's my favorite character by far. So now we get to the conflict, which is
Well, starts with the robbery.
okay, right. So asshole boyfriend's parents are rich, except they won't let him touch any of the rich, nice things. They lock them up in a room, and he can't get to him. So he's kind of mad about it, and he wants to make money so he can get his own car.
So, like, what was in that room though? Like
It looks like a
memorabilia,
space room.
sports memorabilia,
There
or
was
something.
well, we
Or,
couldn't
like-
see anything. It was
Yeah.
all hidden in like concealed drawers or something. I don't know. So he really wants a car, and instead of getting a job, he decides the best way to get to a car is to break into my own house and steal all the rich things in this locked room. So he makes Edward open the door to the
Oh,
room.
that's another skill.
Lock picking. Yeah, good one. So he gets in there. Unfortunately, there's like a triggered alarm inside the room if you go in without a key or whatever, without a code, and it locks poor Edward in. And then the police come. Everyone thinks he's a bad guy because he tried to break into this place.
Everyone
it's very
starts
sad.
turning on him. So
Yep.
that's like where the tide turns.
Okay, yep, exactly, yep. So they don't trust him anymore. They're like, I knew he was bad. And then that slutty woman starts spreading rumors that he tried to rape her or whatever. Just like sucks. She sucks. I hate her. Stupid haircut. Dumb. So now,
So then at this point, it's like Christmas,
Okay.
let's say. And they have this annual Christmas party like every day every year. And everyone is kind of like, the family still really loves Edward. They really feel the same. But the whole neighborhood has turned on him. The boyfriend is upset because basically after the robbery, Kim was like, fuck you. Like, you're a douche. I'm out of here. And doesn't like officially break up with him, but is like, I don't want to see him anymore.
like you suck.
Yeah. So then like no one comes to the Christmas party, and but he's like he makes this beautiful ice sculpture and makes it like snow. Basically, it's California, so it doesn't snow there ever, but it snows when he does the ice sculpture. And Kim is like lovely dancing in the ice sculpture, and then the scary, awful boyfriend comes and like spooks him, and he cuts Kim's hand. By accident. So it's totally by accident. And the guy starts spinning up being like, you tried to hurt Kim, blah, blah, blah. Like, and Edward flips out and like runs away. So then he goes missing. The parents go to look for him. Kim stays back, and like eventually Edward comes back and they have this like really great moment, and she's like, it's very tender, and he like gets a hug for the first time. You learn a little bit more about his backstory. I mean, you kind of learn about his backstory throughout the whole thing, but really he like hasn't ever had any human contact or like a hug ever. Just hasn't felt like a love of anybody else. So then the boyfriend, being very upset that Kim has now picked Edward over him, gets like wasted and is in his van with his buddy, and like comes back and is driving back to their house and is like swerving, all drunk driving, and her little brother is walking on the street. Edward like sees this from afar, jumps and like pushes the little brother out of the way of this van that they're like erratically driving. And then because he's obviously scissors for hands, it's like anytime he tries to touch someone, he cuts them. So he's trying to make sure Kevin's okay, cuts him in the face. And Kevin's like, ah. And everyone in the neighborhood hears this, comes out, and he's like, Edward's attacking Kevin, blah, blah, blah. Basically, like Hunchback of Notre Dame style, run him out of town and like chase him to his mansion that's like above the hill, right? So it's kind of like townspeople with pitchforks and
a little Beauty and Beast action.
Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, it just feels like that.
Yeah. So they chase him there. The cop tries to go after him, but the cop has like, I guess he has a nice streak. I guess he likes Edward, so he just fires his gun in the air and makes he pretends that he killed him and is like, go home.
I wonder if that's because he was like the one black guy in town too, right?
No, there was a black child, a student at Kevin's school, I noticed.
Oh, there was? But maybe there's like a racial component to that.
Maybe. Tim Burton's not usually one to stick that kind of smart commentary into his movies. I think he got in trouble for like something he said, right? About something.
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like.
No.
I don't know. So Kim races after him, goes to the creepy house, finds Edward, and is like, oh, like, I love you, whatever. And he's so happy in that moment. That's the moment that Sweet was talking about with his eyes, and it's just a really great moment. Unfortunately, dick-faced boyfriend comes in and, like, starts beating up Edward. It's a fight scene. Edward finally just sticks his scissors into his stomach and then throws him, skewers him like a kebab, and throws him out the window, and he falls to his death.
Never more happy in my life.
And then Kim's like, we have to say goodbye, so they can't see each other again. They have to pretend that Edward's dead. So she goes downstairs, like finds an old pair of scissors on, like hanging in the castle, the place. Brings it out, and it's like, oh, the ceiling caved in on him. He's dead. Like, see? And she holds up his hand. So everyone's like, oh, okay, I'll go home now. Like, personally, I wouldn't buy it. I'd be like, I gotta see a body.
People are, and how like it was just like it just took one thing to turn the tide for them, and also one thing to turn it away. They're lemmings. They're sheep. They're idiots.
Yeah. So in the beginning of the movie, there was this old woman who's Winona Ryder in old person makeup, which is what she looks like now. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, that's mean. That's mean. She's great. She looks great. And then at the end, she's telling this story to her granddaughter, and then she says, her granddaughter's like, how do you know it's still up there? And she's like, well, it never used to snow in California. But now it always snows, 'cause I know he's up there. And she's like, why don't you want to go and see him? Can't you go see him anytime you want? Like, duh, yeah, you can. And she goes, well, I want him to remember me the way I was.
Yeah. Bullshit. I think that's a dumb fucking excuse. He'd be so fucking pumped to see you.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
I know. Selfish. So
that's pretty as they used to be.
So then it just like ends with like this ice chips like snowing, and then la di da.
Call bullshit again. No way. It would maybe like, oh, it's a complete blizzard.
I know. It was snowing pretty hard out that window.
One ice sculpture being made.
He was making like a weird block sculpture.
I mean, I think it's like
it's blowing
a theme and more of like a thought to it.
Yes,
I get that, but like,
not buying it. Not buying it.
Definitely not.
So that's the end. So
super fucking sad movie. I'm gonna say Debbie Downsy. Like, whoa. I mean, there's a hopeful, like, lovely ending in the sense if you think of it like, oh, they, like, touch each other's lives, like, when they were 20 years old, whatever. But, wow, fucking sad.
But yeah, now he can't do anything. No. He can never leave. He just makes ice sculptures and more hedge things for nobody to see.
He had the taste of the good life, and then it got ripped apart because of some douchebag loser. Like,
pretty crazy.
No more of those plots.
Yeah. So Edward's backstory is that Vincent Price was an inventor, strictly made cookies, it seemed like. He like only made fucking cookies.
that?
I don't know. It wasn't even a
Like-
good invention.
No, the cookie cutters did not cut the dough. When they zoomed in, it was finally cutting the dough. But when you see it from afar, the cookies were like all
blah,
not
blah,
around
blah.
the dough, not
It's
actually
kind of
in the
cookie, not
dough.
really, yeah.
And then I'm like, what was the pink jar
So-
stuff? Frosting?
Yeah,
You don't
I
see
guess.
him
I
get
don't know.
frosting. Who was eating the cookies?
Exactly. It's
He's like he's jonesing for cookies.
It's
He's
a
like,
good
let me
question.
make a machine and not just bake them.
probably why he had a heart attack. He didn't have a heart attack. He died of diabetes. Eating too many cookies. Eating way too many cookies. So yeah. So then one day he like holds up a heart-shaped cookie, which I don't know how the fuck that machine made a heart shape and what they were doing, but holds up the heart shape to like one of the little machines and is like, oh, I know what I can do next. I can make a man.
Let's make a man.
So this is my eternal question with this movie: is how did he make a man? It says like he made. Like, Winona's telling her granddaughter in the beginning, like, oh, he gave him a brain and a heart. But like, how do you just fucking give somebody a brain and a heart unless you steal it from somebody alive, put it on ice, and then sew them in? Like,
So
I'm
was it like a
confused.
Frankenstein kind of thing? Because Frankenstein was dead and then became alive.
I don't know. According to the sketches, not really.
Right. Because like he has this book of sketches where he like starts with a machine and there's this like progression, and Edward is like the middle one where it's like a man but has scissors for hands. The next drawing is a man in a suit, and then he's like reading him like this etiquette book about having tea time. So he clearly wanted to make him like a gentleman, but the inventor dies, so like it's Christmas and he's giving him a pair of hands, literally like, here's your Christmas present, and just dies while he's giving him the fucking hands. And that moment is the one that sticks out for me, is the one I always remember as like a little kid, because like Vincent Price is really good because he like dies standing up, and just like the look on his face of just like dying in a second was kind of cool. But the part I remember is that Edward's hands go through the prosthetic hands and just stab through them and like cut them to bits.
They're not prosthetic. First of all, they're fucking made of wax.
Yeah, they were wax
Which,
or rubber.
Shoddy design inventor again. How would this have been useful at all? No. Gets like too close to a candle one night and it's like, well, there go my hands. Like, no more hands.
Yeah, like that would have been good. But like, where did he get all the parts? Like, what? And because he always had that like weird leather suit on. So it's not like he ever got like naked. So I don't know if he had anything even like really
didn't.
under that.
That's why I'm like, what?
So he was like a machine.
That's what I think. I
But
don't
still
know.
had a heart, and then like Kim sort of like unlocked that, I guess. I don't know.
Yes.
That's what it
all
doesn't really
very
get.
fuzzy to me, yeah.
It's so vague, and I think you're kind of supposed to like figure it out for yourself / decide what you want to about it. Like I think it's intentionally kind of like Tim Burton didn't want to go into this like super sciencey about it and stuff, which like I totally get, but huge question, lots of questions.
Big question mark. Yeah. Also, and did Vincent Price's body just like decay and rot in there? What happened to it?
He probably buried him.
Or cut him up and buried him.
Yeah, why not?
Well, you can't pick anything up. I don't know. You saw him trying to eat that pea. I don't know how he did it.
Right, and like, how did he eat? What was he eating? Where was he getting food?
Did he need to eat?
Does he drink water?
Does he need to?
I don't
think
know.
so.
Right, because if he's a machine, then why does he eat?
Exactly.
Does he go to the bathroom?
I don't think so.
Yeah. It's
Very weird.
I mean, it's just too much to get into. Like, I get why they left that out, because
Down the
clearly
rabbit
you'd be
hole.
like, oh my God, we have to like show him going to the bathroom and learning how to use a toilet. Like, obviously, like that, we don't want to potty train Edward Scissorhands. Like, that is not going to be part of the movie.
Yeah.
Scene 4 is how you go to the bathroom. But yeah, very interesting. And so Tim Burton. I mean, Tim Burton stuff has such a Tim Burton stamp on like everything he does. This one definitely,
Especially his earlier movies. I feel like he's kind of lost, like we said during the Beetlejuice one. He's definitely lost his way. But this is such a distinct mood and like world that he creates. All of the houses have, so there's like this color scheme that runs throughout. It's like, what do you call that kind of color? Like, it's not pastel. It's like a brighter than that. Maybe Technicolor. Yeah. So it's like a ugly green, pink, a blue.
And it's this weird, like, faux vintage, but not set.
Yeah, I can't figure it out.
Decade.
Are we
It's
100% sure about that?
Okay, so what I read though about it was that the whole movie is supposed to be seen through Edward's eyes. That why it has like a fantasy element to him, because he always imagined like what the outside world looked like, and when he finally like got down there, like he saw it through his eyes of like what he imagined it to be. But it's like this. There's no set decade that it like resembles in the sense that it. Like it's kind of 60s, 70s. There's some 80s maybe even in there. Like it's all kind of like mushed together. There's like old cars. The clothing style is like sort of 60s.
But
the houses are too. The colors. But then you have this like what I noticed this like vast space with everything. So there's like the scenery. It's like sparse with like big open spaces. Because remember when they went into the house, you're like, there's
one couch on the like one side, and then that's it. And then the TV is like on the way on the other side. You're like,
and there's
cool.
these big lawns, and like even when you go into Edward, the castle on the hill that like the inventor owned, it was like these big open spaces with like nothing in them.
Wide open spaces.
And like, what does that mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's very sterile. I would describe it as. It's like
yeah.
super sterile. Just nothing, blankness. The bank is just a white building that says the word bank above the door. Like creepy.
It's so, but that's like if you think about, I don't know, like I mean, Pee-wee isn't really like that, but I'm thinking of like Batman Returns, right? Or like even the original Batman. Like there's like kind of elements like that where he doesn't like mess with like overt details with stuff. Yeah. It's just kind of like, not like comic book. I don't know like what I'm wanting to like say there.
It's his own thing. He created this whole his
own
worlds. Style.
He's like a world.
And that's what we came to depend on him for. So that's why when he moved away from that in these later movies,
because what's like
everybody got
his
so
most
upset.
Latest movie, the Alice in Wonderland ones?
Probably. No. I think so.
Is it?
Or the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar
Did
Children,
you see that?
probably. Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Oh, yeah. That's what he got in trouble for because they were accusing him of like racism because, like, of course, the one black guy in the movie is like the evil guy. Samuel L. Jackson plays the villain, and he like said some dumbass thing like in an interview, and he got in trouble. So, which I mean, I agree. It was a dumbass thing to say.
I mean, I still what I like really like about this one, and so this is I would say so. If Pee-wee was 86, Beetlejuice was like after
85, I think.
Yeah. And so this was like sort of still like early times and before he did the like stop motion cartoon like Night Before Christmas and Corpse Bride and everything like that. But there is like sort of an amateur quality to it a little bit. Like some of the shots you're like, wow, like that seems like, but like amateur in the sense that it was like cool, you know, it just seemed like kind of brought it down a little bit like to
was
earth.
his heyday.
Yeah. Like I really like this movie. I think it's like, I think I read in the thing that he doesn't think it's the best movie, but like it was his favorite to work on, and it was Danny Elfman's favorite
to score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah. Beautiful score by Danny Elfman, by the way. Like hauntingly beautiful. Very like, what's that? Like the theme? It's like, ooh.
Yeah, so like most of Danny Elfman's scores have that like synthesized quality about it. But yeah, it's those little voices, which are just like,
all like a lot of singing, but then like a lot of like stringy kind of stuff.
Yeah,
all like because the scissor movements are very like violin-y, kind of like those kind of.
And it's very like factory workshop. So there's this video game called Donkey Kong 64, which was like the big Donkey Kong game for Nintendo 64. And there is a factory world in that. And I swear to God, they stole the music from this movie to make that part of the video game. It's so weird. I meant to research that to be like, did they steal this? It's exactly like it. So just so you know. But yeah, good score. So, geez, I don't know what I want to talk about. I guess, okay. So the parts that make us think this is more, like you said, Hunchback of Notre Dame. I said Beauty and the Beast. I guess it could be a combination of both.
Yeah.
And I guess
I forget the plot of Hunchback of Notre Dame in the sense.
I was like, did somebody die at the end?
No, but they chase him up to the thing, and then he just like doesn't come
like
down.
Rasputin in that?
No,
in the Disney cartoon.
No, you're thinking
pretty
of
sure
Anastasia, which is the Rasputin.
Maybe,
character.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
but I don't remember. I don't know if like the Hunchback of Notre Dame is like he like mingles with people, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's great and has all these talents. But then something happens, someone dies, and then they blame
that's
it on
the interesting
him,
thing about this. It's kind of like a reverse Beauty and the Beast, where like everyone loves him at first, and then he turns into like this terrifying monster that people just go after and are terrified of all of a sudden, even though they loved him. So, yeah. And then the end scene, obviously, very harkens back to Beauty and the Beast, like Gaston falling off the roof. This is the same.
But like, what does that mean? Where it's like, okay, like what is that sort of like they were so welcoming of someone who was so different from them, but then like, but they, I guess it just like speaks to like everyone's like prejudices that are just always lying or deep down.
I don't know. Yeah, I know. I was getting like anxiety trying to figure out what this movie was about,
right?
Because I was like, fuck, I'm so dumb. Like I can't figure it out. Even though it seems like it'd be really easy. But I have a hard time deciphering the message. And the fact that the ending is so... And maybe because, like, Kim is the only one that's, like, wary of him at first, but then is the only one who, like, comes to believe him and love him at the end. So it's and then
like...
he finds love, so, like, it's okay. I don't know.
I don't know what this movie is trying to say.
Neither.
Maybe nothing. Maybe you're just supposed to enjoy it, but it's so inherently sad that you, like... You're looking for some deeper meaning. You're like, why is it like this? I wrote that like there were so many like moments for me because there's like all these cute things that Edward does, and like because he doesn't know, or he's just like, even though he doesn't know anything and has never been around people, he has like such inherent goodness. There's just like goodness in him that hasn't been taught. And that's why that scene where like the dad is like, okay, like after he robs the bank, the dad's like, listen, like maybe we need to teach you like ethics 101. Like here's the situation. If you find a suitcase of money, do you like A, like take it home and spend it? B, like buy your friends gifts? C, I forget the other one was, but basically D, like return it to the police. And that's the one you should pick. But Edward decides like, oh, I'd buy my family and friends like gifts because like I like them, and they're like, no, that's wrong. But like that's also a good option.
I know, it's such a what a bullshit quiz.
Yeah. So like the poor guy.
That's dumb. I would not do that. I would have kept it for myself, totally, hands down. Would you? What would you have picked?
Well, let me tell you a story. When the Celtics won the first time, 2008. I was in like outside of North Station, like partying with everyone, and then they like close the bars and we all had to go home. And I get on the train and there's this wallet on the train with hundreds of dollars in it in cash. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. Luckily, the guy randomly had a T-Mobile receipt in his wallet that had his phone number on it. So I called it and was like, hey, is your name blah, blah? His like license was there and everything. You're like, you left your wallet on the train. Like I have it. He's like, okay, like meet me at this T-stop. So I take the train to the end of the line, meet up with him, give him the wallet. He's like, thank you so much. Like blah, blah, blah. Like
nothing.
No, it can be reward, but like, I didn't even want that. But like, I didn't even think about keeping it. Like that would have felt so weird to me. I don't think.
But that had like somebody's name attached to it. Like,
if it was just
like a suitcase of money that nobody was claiming.
Because then I think people think now, okay, I'm going to turn this into the police because everyone has such a like sometimes a weird thought about police. They're going to take it, right?
Yeah, or I mean, no one's gonna.
How would they claim it?
There's an episode of Doug where he finds an envelope full of money. And he like struggles with it for a long time and ends up giving it to the police. And then a month later, the police are like, here, you can have this back because nobody claimed it, so it's yours.
So then you did the right thing, but then you still get it back.
Get the reward, yeah.
I mean, I found $20 in the street before, and I didn't.
Different,
I didn't look here like.
Or like if somebody leaves money in the money return
I've definitely
thing,
taken that.
So, sure, I mean, that is our reward.
No, I was at CVS when this girl came in and was like, hey, I got cash back and I forgot to get it. Did anyone turn it in?
That is a hoax.
Yeah. So you said that. Remember when I brought this up? I didn't take the money. I mean, this has just happened when I was like checking out at CVS. And Sweetie was like, oh man, that's like a total scam. She probably like goes into like every CVS on the block and be like, did someone like refer the cash back? Blah, blah.
Because what are they going to do? Oh yeah, like here's $10. Like, oh, I actually got 20 out.
Like, sorry you were daydreaming and forgot you got cash back. That happened to me at Stop and Shop. I went down, I paid or something with cash, and then I looked down there, and there was a $20 bill already in there before my cash came, and I was like, "What?"
It's just, money is a thing that like nobody can reimburse. Like, you can't get reimbursed for losing it. Like you have to own it. There's always you get those like my laundry card. Do my laundry says like treat this as money. Like if lost or stolen, will not be replaced because that's not how money works. Anyway, makes sense.
Good segment. Good segment about ethics and what you should do if you find a suitcase full of money.
Dumb. Just keep it.
Thank you, Alan Arkin.
Oh my god, I love him so much. Yes, I just love him.
He's great.
He's just. I love how unfazed he is about everything about Edward. Like even the part where he's on the roof stapling the snow, and he sees Edward and the asshole boyfriend like get in a fight, and he's like, "Edward, where are you going?" And I'm like, "Dude, they just got in a giant fight," and he's like running back to the weird castle. Hello. But my favorite scene is when he's watching Edward trying to struggle to eat this one little pea that he like tries to like get in his two like giant scissors and like almost gets it into his mouth, and he's like, "Ugh," and it falls. So then Alan Arkin's like, and like gets like and then like is this like hopeful and then sad that he didn't get it in his mouth
too.
Yeah, and then so when Kim comes home and finds him in her bed and she freaks out and the water's spraying everywhere, he takes Edward downstairs to the bar and then gives him a little bit of like whiskey and then a straw to drink it. And Sweetie was like, "Has he ever had alcohol?" I was like, "Oh, just wait." And he like sucks all of the whiskey up in like
water.
one sip, like water, and then is like,
his mouth is on fire, like his lungs are on fire. I don't know if you ever like chugged whiskey like that. It's like death.
No.
But yeah, I feel like Alan Arkin in this is just like no fucks given. He's like, I don't give a fuck about anything. Like nothing ruffles that guy's feathers.
It's great.
What is he on? I
Hilarious.
want some.
Love him so much.
Zero anxiety.
Love him. So, question about the sexual hair cutting. What are your thoughts on that scene? And explain it.
Well,
let's talk about it first.
Yeah.
Set it up.
Okay.
Set it up.
So, like we said, there's like he first starts doing dog haircuts. He really only had like cuts
one dog.
Two dogs. And then the woman who ends up being like the slutty woman who just cheats on her husband all the time.
She has a husband? I thought she was a single lady.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. He cuts her dog's hair and was like, "Oh, I've ever cut a woman's hair before?" And she's like jonesing for him like as soon as she saw him because it's just a new young person that she like wants to get her claws into. And he cuts her hair and he does kind of these really almost, it's like he's used to doing topiaries, which are like, crazy long sculpture hedges with like things sticking out. I mean, they're trees, they're branches, leaves. So he like cuts hair like topiaries. So there's like weird shapes. They're
ugly.
Weird squares and slants and little things popping out of them.
They look like what was Dietz's sculptures in Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
They look like Delia Dietz's sculptures.
And they're all like shaved on one side and then like long sort of on the other end. So that's kind of like the theme. But when he's cutting the woman's hair at first, she basically has like an orgasm when he's cutting her hair. Like her toes are curling. She's like, "That was the best experience I've ever had in my life."
All of the women kind of act like this around Edward in general, so it's confusing when the mother, Peg, then gets her hair cut at the end. And it's like, whoa, like...
But, I mean, the weird thing is that Edward is like the least sexual person on the planet.
And they're all so fucking attracted to him. And he's not attracted. Like, I know some people found him very, like, oddly attractive in this movie. I was not one of those people.
Super skinny, his pasty skin, weird hair. Yeah.
So it's just very confusing.
But I mean, I guess that just speaks to like those women were so bored and looking for something different. He just like brought that, and they thought that was so attractive. But and also like male hairdresser. There you go. I remember once I had this like intense scalp massage. So like when I go to the hairdresser, like they wash your hair, right? And most of the time, the people who wash your hair are like a couple of them are men. I think they're gay men, but like whatever, not important. And they do this I remember this one guy did the most intense scalp massage like I've ever had. It was so deep Basically, it was like my Edward Scissorhands
true.
moment of
That
like,
happened to me once,
I had
too.
never had someone touch my head like that. And like,
I think they're teaching all the younger kids to do that in
Yeah.
hair school.
Oh my God.
A lot of the students will do that at my salon, and like a girl did that
and
to
like
me,
he
and I was like,
smelled really
"Whoa."
good. He had like this great clean smelling
You were like,
cologne.
Get on top of
yeah,
me
I was
now.
like, oh my God.
Or you were like, I need to model some smocks.
so weird.
Please help me pick a
Oh, that
smock.
woman sucks. Like I just can't.
She's wearing this
her.
ugly, like seafoam green
Ugh,
bodysuit.
it's like a
It is
scuba
like
outfit.
the least flattering thing I've ever seen in my life. And then is modeling these like hairdressing smocks. It's so bizarre. She's so gross.
Ugh.
Yeah, she's my least favorite
she,
neighbor.
like, assaults him.
She does, and then he, and you know what? And it's just like that scene in fucking Gilbert Grape when remember he's like hurriedly leaves that woman's house, and he like puts the bag in front of his pants because he has like the stain like on his pants, and he's like very upset or like confused.
We should watch that one. That's
I know.
a good one.
So yeah, it just all harkens back to Gilbert Grape.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene always has made me very uncomfortable. Yeah, anything you want to talk about?
Oh my God, I have so much. Okay. Again, like so many
Get
random notes.
on it.
So in this one, Winona Ryder has strawberry blonde hair, which right before we even saw this, we're like, ugh, the one movie where Winona Ryder like does not have her own hair color, I think. Yeah. And like they kind of bleach her brows a little so it doesn't look like so stark, because she has the same coloring as us, so she has super dark hair, super dark eyebrows, brown eyes, and it just looks so weird. Like she carries it off and it looks fine, but I'm just like,
she's fine.
I just feel like it's a good it gives us a good idea of if we ever change our hair color.
Yeah, so we should not do
We
it.
should not. I mean, it looked good, but the
was fine.
maintenance would have been like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But love Winona Ryder. She's my spirit animal.
She's back.
As we talked about in Beetlejuice, I look a lot like her. I really feel like I do. I know my friend always said that back in 8th grade, but I feel like we have some very similar features, and she's my new spirit animal. But yeah, she's great. What else do I have here? Edward Scissorhands was based on a drawing that Tim Burton did as a little kid. And he made a fucking movie out of it.
Was it
How
the
cool is
drawing
that?
of that sculpture in the like foyer of the?
It was a drawing of Edward Scissorhands. So a guy with scissors.
I know,
for
but like
hands.
that. So that sculpture in the house. Remember, I was like, that looks like the one that was in the Addams Family, like the thing. So it's like a guy standing like this, and his
Well-
is drapey, and it looked kind of like a
wait.
drawing, like it's just something.
But we already went over. So Addams Family is not connected to
Right.
Tim Burton at all.
No.
But there are a lot of topiaries in
Yes,
Addams Family. Well, in the
exactly.
graveyard, right?
And that statue, I'm pretty sure, is like one of the headstones. It's very confusing.
The funnest fact I read about this movie was that one, you did not even believe me, but like as soon as Edward comes down from the castle, like he's driving around the neighborhood with the mom, and he like sees all this common like suburbia stuff. And there's this kid doing like a slip and slide, and it said in the trivia that kid is Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. He is confirmed in interviews. Like,
That's okay. That's nice that he confirms it, but I need like somebody
okay,
to
we'll,
confirm
we'll
it.
look into it. We'll confirm
Because
that.
any blonde person can be like, "That was me." You'd never see that kid's face. It's
We'll
from
fact
a distance.
check that for tomorrow. I'm gonna look into it, but
Okay.
it would
To
be
be
like the
continued.
best trivia fact I've
That's
ever
so
read.
fucking random.
I know.
Why did he
Most
get? Why
random.
was he in that?
Well, he's probably from California. Like one was a child
we need
actor.
a kid slip and slide, and interesting. Okay,
I want to talk a second about waterbeds.
sure.
Waterbeds feature a lot in this movie, as there's 2 scenes, and provides for a lot of comedic benefit, because what is probably the last thing you want on your waterbed? A guy with scissors for hands. So do you remember our cousin had a waterbed? So that's
Oh.
like my only. Our cousin Zachary had a waterbed.
Why did you? I never went in his room,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't know that.
No, like his room upstairs, we went like a couple times because they were like, try out
never
this
went.
waterbed. But what a weird
My
thing.
friend Maya's parents had a waterbed.
But those just do not exist
It's so
anymore.
weird. Yeah. You like sit on it and it just like sounds like somebody's stomach like uncomfortably
But like, how are
sloshing
those
around.
to sleep on? Does anyone remember? Because like we did not have any of
You'd have
those.
to
First of
ask,
all,
yeah.
how did that get delivered? Like, what happened? Also, like, why did they just disappear? Like, they
they were
went
dumb.
extinct like the dinosaurs.
Because like you said, there's no like what do you I don't there's just they're so impractical. Now they have technology that probably mimics like
now it's all memory foam, right?
So it's like that same, like I think the idea of the waterbed was that it like fit to your body.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what memory foam and Tempur-Pedic does now. So you don't need a waterbed. Right. Also, it's dumb and it makes you feel seasick. So it's just
I just think
such an 80s. That's an 80s thing, right?
Such an 80s thing. And I love it. And I just like, I can't wait to tell, like, if I ever have kids, being like, kids, like, get this. Like, there used to be this thing called a waterbed. It was literally a mattress with water in it. And you felt like you were sleeping on a boat.
Sloshing around, having a good time. No.
So weird.
Also an 80s thing is Avon. So our mom loved Avon. She was never an Avon lady, but she got the catalog. We had an Avon lady, I think. Yep. But we also just had a catalog, which I think she could just call up and order from. So she would like let us pick out things sometimes. So quick question. What was your favorite Avon thing that we got as children?
It was something for Easter.
Yes.
We got like little jewelry boxes. Was it jewelry boxes?
Well, no, it was a piece of jewelry. Oh, we had matching ones.
We did. Oh, the necklaces?
Yes.
With a like a rose or heart or something?
No, it was a teapot with a teapot with, and then you took it apart and like from there was like in the middle you took it apart and there was a little rabbit on the inside.
It was an Easter.
It was an Easter thing.
Yeah,
I also had a little chick, that little like yellow chick that you press a button and it was like tweet tweet tweet.
We got like a lot of like funny little makeup things and like bath things too, right?
So I love it.
Avon like still exists, and Avon Skin So Soft. Remember that was like the bug spray.
Oh yes.
Like reminds me, like if I smell that, I think of like like softball, like elementary school softball. Remember?
Cozy.
God, the 80s, early 90s.
Love that. So good, you guys.
Cozy.
Miss that bitch. Miss that bitch.
So good. So good.
Did you ever play Edward Fortyham?
I was gonna bring that up. So yeah, so if you've ever been to college, or you don't have to gone to college, you probably just are of college age, let's say. Edward Fortyhands. So, you tape 40s, everyone's favorite beer. What is that? Colt 45, right? Sure. And tape them to your hands with duct tape, and then you can't obviously remove them until you finish both. I got pretty fucked up from that. The worst thing was obviously the bathroom thing. So you're chugging all of this beer and you have to basically recruit someone to come pull down your pants so you can go to the bathroom.
When we did it, we were like, let's wear diapers. Yeah. So we bought like adult diapers at Walgreens. I don't think we ended up actually doing it at all, even the thing. But that was just like a workaround you can get, just so you know, just like in case you need to do it again sometime. Just a hot tip. I
don't know if I finished mine, or actually I don't know. Like I think I did them with something else. Actually, because I have a gluten allergy, so I found that out like end of freshman year of college, and then I was in a sorority the next year, so we did like a lot of those kind of games. I might have done it with wine.
Ew, what? Yeah, I drank an Nalgene wine one time.
Yeah, I don't think I did it with 40s. I did it in some way with like wine or something like that.
I would just go to the bathroom and be like, oops, and then like pour it down the sink and be like, oh, I'm done.
Might have been like solo cups of
Once
wine.
A cheater, always a cheater.
Taped to my hands, which were like, God. I mean, my whole life was a fucking mess. Like I had to play every drinking game with wine or hard liquor, like nightmare. I survived.
Thank God. What would we do without you?
And I got a good GPA. Suckers.
Woo. Good one.
Suckers.
So do you have anything else left? I'm all out of notes.
Yeah, me too. I thought I had so many more, but I actually had talked about them already. So good job.
Nuts.
High five.
High five. So yeah, funnily enough, we chose to cover this movie today after my cat Desmond, the podcast cat, who you may have heard in the background before we got microphones. Climbing the screen door. He got neutered today, so he lost his manhood. I'm really happy about it because he doesn't pee on me anymore. And when I say pee, I mean spray, which if you've never experienced this phenomena before, you're very lucky. To put it simply, I felt like I needed a poncho, front row of Blue Man Group, needed the poncho to cover yourself from the debris that splashes on you. That's what it felt like. pretty terrible, you guys. So
But it's over. It's
just
over.
like Bob Barker says, remember to get your pet spayed or neutered before.
Goodbye, everybody.
But what he did not say is to do that before they start the urge to do this
Who
shit.
knew? I just did not know about this. News
This is
to
why
me.
I always had girl cats.
Yeah, we always had girl pets. So
And then one day I was like,
no
I want a boy
idea.
cat. And now I know why.
So really, have your pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
But for real, thanks for listening.
Sweetie's pick next.
Sweetie, my pick next.
What's
I
that
don't know
gonna
what
be?
it's gonna be. Probably The Craft because I'm obsessed with it.
Whoa.
And it just became available on Netflix.
I don't want to watch that.
And I'll kill you. And I'm next after that. I'm gonna make you watch fucking Babe the Gallant Pig. 'Cause that's how I roll.
God, bitch.
So join us next time when I make Sweetie watch The Craft. Okay. Bye, guys.